Hello and welcome to Friday Night Foam, the fifth one of the season, I believe. I'm pretty excited. Once a month, it both seems really fast when I'm prepping for it, and it also seems like too long because I'm always excited to talk to the next person. To Friday Night Foam, the fifth one of the season, excuse me. I'm pretty excited. Once a month. I think. Just give me one sec there, guys. Really fast when I. Sorry, guys. I'm back. What an amateur I am. I have one tab up so I can go to the chat so I can chat with you guys. And I had an extra tab up, and that one had the sound on and blaring. Anyway, now that I've ruined my smooth intro, as I always do, I'm going to welcome on my guest. Mongoose Jake is here with me. I'm going to switch it over to the camera that has him on it as well. Hey, I'm going to let him know that he is live and on screen. I am super excited. Thank you so much for joining this episode.
I'm happy to be here. I think it's going to be a fun little experience. I don't do streams much.
Awesome. I hope you're not worried by the fact that we got 2 minutes in and I had a big glaring technical error. That's how we roll. That's how we roll around here. I'm just gonna look at the chat for a second to say some welcomes. I like that we got some bee emojis in the chat. I like that little. People are excited about the Buzzbee stream. Hello, Noah. Hello, Chicken Man. Hey, it is CR Nerf. We have Edgar here. Hey, man, how are you? We have Not Enough Nerf here as well. Jason Domingo. Not Enough Nerf is asking, where is Nerf Dog? Nerf Dog is my pal Matt. He could not be here today. He chose his very pregnant wife over me to hang out with her tonight before their baby shower tomorrow. Has it caused a rift between us? Maybe. But we're gonna work through it. He'll be back on the next stream. I do have to be careful because I don't have anyone to poke me when I'm talking too much, so it's gonna be a dangerous thing. You guys in the chat, if I'm talking too much, you guys let me know, okay? I was really excited to do this stream because I started my foam journey. Like, I think a lot of people who are new and excited do, where it's like, I'm just gonna collect the Nerf stuff. That's the cool stuff. And then some time goes by, you realize like, oh, what's this blaster I'm thrifting here, and what's this one here? And then you stumble across Jake's channel, and you're like, whoa! If this guy likes Buzzbee this much, there must be something about it. Why don't you tell us what made you the Buzzbee guy? What made you the unofficial spokesperson for all things Buzzbee in the hobby world?
Okay, the whole spiel going into history here.
I know that's a soft intro. I was like, I'll ask you the biggest question first. You can break it up as you see fit.
No worries. It's a long story that can be condensed. Back in the day, in middle school, high school, I was a pretty avid Airsoft and paintball player. Well, a group of us basically seen when these first double shot shotgun blasters came out. Now the infamous double shot, or famous, whichever way you want to look at it. When we seen these first come out, we're like, hey, let's throw one of these in our rounds, because everybody grew up with, Nerf. And we're like, we seen these, they're $9.99. We're like, hey, what's the big deal? It's $10. Let's have a goof off round. So in between playing Airsoft and paintball, the whole group of us, we grabbed some of those, and it turned out to be just as fun. I mean, it was silly at the time because, old double shot shoots maybe 62 feet per second. But we're in the Airsoft and paintball areas. We're just trying to fling darts across it, but we had a great time. And so it's like that kind of sowed the seeds from returning back from, we all played with blasters as kids.
Yeah.
And that like rekindled it a little bit. Well, then it spilled over. I bought a few more. Got when the Jaguar first came out, the first version of the Jaguar, and then I was like, what's this little tiny little 3-shot thing? It's Tech 3, of course.
Yep.
I kept getting more. Our family got into it. Friends, neighbors all got into it. And I kept buying Busby. It wasn't just by intention. It's just, that's what I ended up liking.
Yep.
And then, of course, we kept buying Nerf, buying whatever we get our hands on, going into KB Toys to reference the people who know. I don't know if you had KB Toys.
No KB Toys here.
Up above the great yawn there.
No.
But going to KB Toys, pick up the latest blasters. That is a toy chain that has since met its demise here in the States. But it was like 90s, early 2000s, complete nostalgia for all of us. But I kept going in and buying Busby, not intentionally. And before the stream, I actually shared this little bit with Anthony here. But I had Snipe Break. It was one of my dad's favorite blasters because him and I we had a Nerf day on. Even when I grew up and I was a teenager, we had Nerf days in every Sunday because I grew up playing basketball. I grew up playing football. I loved Airsoft. Loved paintball. But we also did Nerf. Well, one of my dad's favorite was a Busby Snipe. He sheared the bolt right off of it. We've all done it at least once.
Too much power.
I called up and spoke to a very, very nice lady. And I told her, I said, hey, I need a part. Do you sell parts? I was actually talking to her on the phone directly. In this day and age of everything being, you have to reach through a message service of whatever kind it might be and hope to get a response that's not an auto-generated, copy-paste response. I was actually talking to a person. This is circa 2014-15.
And I feel like the cool thing is...
selling me a bolt.
I feel like the cool thing is to...
an entire blaster at no charge. And I was like, wow, that's customer service.
That's pretty awesome.
And then...
We were just saying before the chat though. I just wanted to add in the little fun fact thing that the person you were talking to is the same person that I was emailing with this year. So it's long term customer service and stuff. So sorry to interrupt, but I just think that's cool that it's people who are there for the duration doing the customer service bits.
That was before I did blaster videos. If you go look on my channel, I was doing other videos. I did mountain bike videos going back to, I had a mountain bike channel that was viral and everything in the earlier 2000s to 2013, 14-ish.
Cool.
And I switched over to blasters. And I'm actually going to restart my mountain bike channel, which is archaic at this point.
Go like and subscribe, everyone.
But no, I actually got into, the Destiny came out. This was my second experience with Busby. The Destiny came out, and I just wanted to get some more of the clips, because who didn't want more Destiny clips? I mean, who doesn't want more of these?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tried to buy them, and she said there's a limit of 2 per customer. She sent me 4. She said there's an official limit of 2 per customer, and I paid for 2. 4 showed up. And I was like, I actually called her back. I was like, did you make a mistake? I got 4. She goes, oh, no. She goes, that was just a thank you for being a customer.
That's
and
awesome.
I was like, this is a company that really cares. So when my channel had 300 and some subscribers, going back now, geez, that was back in 2016, 17, when I first got into blasters, I had 300 subscribers. I reached out to them because I was like, that's a company I like as a customer. I would like to work with them if I'm going to start doing these videos for blasters. Sure enough, they were like, yeah, we'll take a chance on you. We like you. We like who you are. And I was like, I'm just a nobody with 300 subscribers here. Busby actually jumped on board with me as a guy with 300 some subscribers and has been with me ever since.
Wow, that's very cool.
And that told me a lot about them, which, I know I'm seen as just the unofficial spokesperson, like you said, and a lot of people go further with their wording of me, but it's from a deep-rooted experience with that company, which I think they're a rare thing. Just forget blasters.
Yeah.
Very few companies in this world today treat customers with that level of, support and care, and they do. So, and there's only like, you talk to, like you said, the same person I talked to back in 2014, she's still there. Yeah. She's still the head of their customer service.
No, that's really, really cool.
It's amazing.
That's awesome. I'm going to go back to the chat for a second. Well, it's funny. So just where you were mentioning that, you used to play Airsoft and paintball, and it's funny that you had and I do think, so it's fun. I run into a lot on my, like on TikTok especially. I'll post a video and it'll be people playing Nerf, or I'll be running a party and people will be like, why aren't you just playing Airsoft, bro? Why aren't you just playing paintball? And like, it doesn't matter if it's out in a field or if it's like inside and it's like a place you could never play paintball or Airsoft. You will literally get people going on this thing of like, why are you doing that? Now, I'm pretty convinced a lot of those people are just trolling. I've definitely met some Airsoft and paintball enthusiasts who actually think, if they actually check out a lot of the Dart Zone stuff or the Nerf, or but like once they kind of see what's going on in the hobby, most of them are like, oh, that's really cool. So I think it's mostly people trolling, but in the chat there's a few people who are going Airsoft, bro, because not enough Nerf, and I joke about that all the time. Like, it's almost like some people cannot stand to see you have fun with a thing without comparing it to another thing that they like. And it's one of those things that drives me.
It's all fun. To me, I still play Airsoft.
Absolutely.
It's all fun. I don't do Airsoft as much anywhere near as I used to, because the group that I used to play with, there was about 10 to 12 of us that did it every weekend and sometimes in the middle of the week.
Right.
And they've all went on to different things. And the paintball scene, 2 guys, I still hold those guys, they're friends, but I still hold them accountable for killing the scene here. Because they went all in, both of them spent over a grand each on their setups. And it was just devastating to the small, you have 10 to 20 people. And most people, true weekend warriors,
Mm-hmm.
We grab pump action or semi-auto. And then you got guys who come in with $1,000 markers.
Yeah.
And they are literally lighting everybody up because, we weren't game managing and balancing well.
Yeah.
So people are like, I can't afford to keep up with the Joneses. I'm going to go on, and then we ended up switching mostly to Airsoft at that point.
I feel like that's kind of that's fun. That's an interesting thing to mention, because I feel like that is almost the pay. There's like almost a pay to play aspect to almost any hobby, whether it's like Magic the Gathering or Airsoft, like when it comes to equipment, and even like, foam blasting to some extent, like if you're doing tournaments or getting competitive. But that's why I do like, and I mean, I think that's why so many people like HVZ and things like that, is it purposefully,
Hey,
you're working together. You got a hard limit. You can use whatever goofy thing you want, but it's interesting. And I like, and for the record too, like if you said, hey, if I was in your area and you're like, do you want to come play Airsoft? Like, I've played a bit of paintball. I've never played Airsoft. But, like, I think it's all fun. I just get annoyed that people can't, like, kind of look and appreciate the differences of all the things and how different things are fun. I'm going to pop over the chat for 1 second and see what's happening over here. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. We got lots of chat action here, which is great. We got a couple no Matt tonight. Nerf Dog will appreciate that he was missed. I love that. Dr. Flux, hello to you too. Miss Not Enough, hello everyone, hello to you. We have the Rover. The Busby is buzzing. KB Toy. You got a few people recognizing KB Toys, and definitely
my childhood.
Yeah, definitely remembering that. We got some love for the Destiny in here as well. Not Enough Nerf is saying, I say Busby Jake. He's like, I say Busby Jake sometimes, but I mean it with all the endearment in the world. I did get a question from Jason here. What's the story behind the YouTube name Mongoose Jake?
That goes back to my mountain bike racing days. I was actually a competitive mountain bike racer, and I did that going into high school. And I started actually with mountain bikes when I was as young as age 12. And then I actually became a top 10 ranked rider in my state here. and competed in the championships and even placed a couple of podiums. And I got my start racing Mongoose bikes. I still ride. And so, hey, Jake is the short version of my given legal name, and then Mongoose was my favorite brand. So,
that's really cool. You know what, I'm glad that somebody asked that, because that is something I've wondered before, and I may not have remembered to ask. That's awesome. America, I like to welcome some people to the chat here before we get back into some favorites here. We have Monk. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Monk here in the chat. For a while, I appreciated X-Shot, but didn't really have their blasters. Now I want that Pro line. I mean, hey, I enjoy pretty much all the blasters in the world. American Foam, you did not miss too much. I mean, we just kind of got started. I rambled on a little bit. I started our chat by asking Jake like the most involved question of like, why Busby? Instead, like, I feel like in interview fashion that's like the opposite. But he handled it like a pro. I hope if you missed his why Busby, it was great. But you can always watch the chat later, or watch the first part later. Shaz is a fellow Canadian Nerfer. He's in the chat. He's saying he's been using his modded Sentinel in every single game for the last year. In his top 5 primaries for sure. I actually very recently was very happy. I was very happy to have found a Sentinel myself. It's one of those blasters that people would ask me about the Sentinel, and nothing. My collector brain, when somebody asks me about a blaster or says it's their favorite one and I don't have it, I'm like, oh, I hope it shows up. And I found it on the floor of a Value Village for $3.99. So
that is a lucky find. I have, at this point, I think I have 8.
Oh.
And including one new in the box up here that I keep as a display.
That's cool.
That's my only in-box one, but I think I have 8 total, and about half of those are fully modded. I got a couple that I've modded to be over 200 FPS primaries for myself.
Oh, that's cool.
But one thing I would shout out is Foam Sport on Etsy. They make a almost drop-in breech replacement for the Sentinel, and it is amazing.
Oh.
They're expensive. They're at $60 each. I bought 6 of them.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
I used another blaster too, but it's an aluminum machined one, and let's see if I got one handy. I'll have to dig one. I've got them in bins.
That's very...
I've got, like I told you before the stream, I've got like 15 mods in progress, so they're scattered.
I feel like...
I actually put one of those Sentinel breeches into a Frantic Fury. So you can use them in other... They're machined aluminum, and you just trim back a part of your stock breech, drop it in, and even on a very, very light spring, pretty easy to get up to 180 feet per second.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to have to check that out for sure. I have a bit of a thing, again, it's like collector brain. I probably won't mod a Sentinel until I manage to find another one.
I'd like 2.
Yeah, I like to have...
Gotta have 2.
Yeah, I don't like to mod anything. I was pretty excited. I've been wanting to mod this one for a while. I think the Autotech is a super cool blaster. And you know what? I haven't been doing this. Usually I have a little thing. I was telling Jake earlier, if I show a blaster, I like to fire it. I'm gonna go to the range cam just for a second here, and I'm gonna fire some rounds through the Autotech here. Oh yeah, look at all. It's not accurate, but it's pretty fun. And in fairness, my suction darts, a lot of those are in pretty bad shape. They're from thrifted bags. But I think this blaster is super cool. I really want to do a mod. I have 2 of them. And that same customer service person that Jake was talking about, I was chatting with her, and I actually got a couple extra of these. So I have 4 of these. So 4 is enough that I really want to do like an all Busby loadout for HVZ sometime, and I love a theme loadout. What can I say? It's just a good time. Let's go. Oh, you know what, Noah? You know my question with Busby. Nothing bad. Okay, that's good. But I wondered why they took the trigger fire off store shelves pretty fast and their website. Anyone know why? Which one's the trigger Oh,
The Tripwire is the pole. It's still on store shelves here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the one that's like the nail biter, right?
I actually just bought another one.
Oh, okay.
I'm the weirdo. I actually absolutely love the trigger fire. And it's the one that everybody complained about it being hard to use.
Sure.
But it's just, if you're used to having, the physical requirement to do it, you'll be at ease with it. Younger users, smaller hands, going to struggle. But I still have it on the shelves in my local stores.
Oh, okay.
So that must be a regional thing.
Interesting. I mean, there are definitely some blasters too that, like, whether it's Nerf, Buzzbee, or whatever. So I run parties sometimes for I run kids parties. That was part of my collection got so big during the pandemic. I like kind of had people some friends ask if I would run a party, and I'm like, yeah, sure, what the heck? Like, I like kids, I better. There's lots of them in the house, and I did a few parties, and it was kind of cool too because a lot of these kids would be like, they'd be telling me what Nerf or what blasters they had that were just in their closet because they'd never actually played like a structured game with them. So making them play like Capture the Flag or like, different VIP and all these different games, they had a blast. So, and I've been running games for a while now. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that most blasters in a party scenario where you have kids that have never, like maybe a bunch of kids who have barely used anything, almost every blaster is a nightmare. Like that's why from like a party scenario, I mostly do a lot of front loaders, avoid magazines. I mean, I love stuff with mags and clips and more gimmicks the better. But for like a party scene or for kids, like I try to keep it simple. And I feel like the trigger fire is a tricky one because like for a kid, I remember my stepson Luke was telling me about before I ever had a Nerf nail biter. He was telling me, he's like, it's cool. You don't even have to prime it. Like, you just, like, can squeeze it, and it's semi-automatic. But, like, he would have tried it, and at the time, at his age, he had such a hard time using it. It's, like, a cool blaster. It's almost a better blaster for, like, adult nerds like us to dual wield with than, like, those small kid hands.
That's why I bought extras, so I can dual wield them.
Yeah, so...
It does take a bit of grip force, so it's kind of limited in who's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. No, they're all, like... it's funny, blasters are definitely... And nothing makes you realize this, but, like, seeing other people use them. Like, I was trying to tell people at the space where I run parties, I have, like, a wall of Nerf rival stuff. Like, it's, like, I kind of have it broken into tiers of stuff. And I was showing a couple staff members, like, how to operate everything. And, like, every one of them works differently. And I'm like... And I love that. But, man, it makes it hard for, like, doing parties or, like, showing staff or anything like that. That's why when you go to, like... I think a lot of companies default, if they're running parties, to having, like, 20 of the same thing. But I never wanted to do that because I wanted kids to have the experience of, like, wide eyes and seeing all the different kinds. But... You definitely learn what ones are easy to use and what ones aren't. That's for sure. Oh, man. Hey, look, it's Xbox Games in here. How you doing? That's great to see you. Troy the Taker. Nice to have so many people by. So I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna put you on the spot again, Jake. Do you get annoyed or do you get panicky if people ask you what your favorite blaster is? Because that's a hard one.
Oh no, it's supposed to be Destiny.
It is the Destiny. That was a quick answer.
That's by far that is my all-time favorite blaster ever of any kind. Because no other blaster. It's gonna get loud. Because I actually am gonna steal what you do.
Love it.
No other blaster gives you a smile with a full pump and ripping off 20 shots.
Oh, that's cool.
You can't beat that.
That's
you
very
really can't.
Cool. Wow.
So that is my absolute all-time favorite blaster. I've got a couple of them that I've done paint jobs on, added a stock to one, done all kinds of things. Because I have, I think, now 10 of these. And I got a whole bunch of these clips from Buzzbee in the end.
Wow, that's really cool.
I got as many as I could get my hands on. But that is my absolute favorite, followed very, very closely by the Snipe, the Sentinel, and the Revolution.
Yep. Yeah, I mean... The Revolutions are,
That's one that everybody kind of overlooks, but the Revolution, I think, I would give the take that it's better than the Retaliator, except for the modularity, because, it's not modular at all. Right. But if you're just running a mag-fed pistol primary, Revolution's better.
Yeah.
This, in stock form.
Yeah.
Of course, the Retaliator, it's a blank canvas. It's meant to be, at this point now, you'd say, okay, you're buying that to mod it to the sky.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's pretty much an open-ended, response. But, yeah, the Destiny, followed closely by the Snipe, Monorail, Sentinel, and Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
That's my top 4.
Oh, you have it. You had that like down. You had that down to a science in your answer of favorites. I know I struggle a little bit with favorites, and I end up going into like qualifying things a bit. I definitely.
You would have had to put me on the spot and say not Busby.
Well, so I mean, you say that I was gonna come back to that one, but I was gonna ask. Because most of the time when I'm watching your stuff, or and we've been interacting, most of it is kind of around Busby stuff. But like, what are some of your favorites, or what are some of the stuff that you see out there where you're like, oh, well, that's fun, or like, whether it's gimmicky ones like from the past of like for Nerf or other brands. But what are some other favorites? You don't have to go to like your number one favorite, but what are some where you're like, oh, well, that's cool. Like that's a cool idea.
Well, it's pretty easy. When it comes to non-Busby, it's the Nerf Mastodon and the Sledgefighter. And then from way out of left field, this thing.
Oh, yeah.
The new Rex. These, I absolutely adore these. I got a few of them, and I absolutely love this thing. But I have actually a background with Humorex, who is the parent company of Rex. Because I was actually a competitive air rifle shooter.
Oh, okay. And
so I had a little background into that, and I knew they were a really, really reputable company. And then when they came out with dart blasters, first, of course, they had the AR style platform, but this thing, one of my absolute favorites ever.
I wanted to get.
Some people were against the CO2, but I love that blaster.
Oh, I think it's cool.
Nerf Mastodon, Sledgefire, and then the Rect.
I would definitely like to get a Rect at some point. There, I kind of kicked myself. I feel like Frontline Foam had them on sale at one point, and I thought about getting one because there wasn't an easy way to get them here in Canada. They just weren't super available, and I wish that I had. But at some point, you just kind of look around you and go, maybe I don't need to buy that as well today. But yeah, no, I think air and CO2 is definitely. I mean, that's definitely an area that's a lot of fun. Like I've had a ton of fun with the old Fusion Designs, the Booper and those 40 Max shells. Like using those to launch Mega XL or just a bunch of darts. Like you get into kind of using that using gas or compression. It opens the door to even more designs and even more platforms and stuff. So I mean, I think it's all. I don't know. I'm sure we're already seeing more and more of it, so I'm sure that people will get more comfortable over time. I am sure. Gecko Wizard asked what your top 5 Busby blasters were, but I feel I think he must have asked that just as you were getting into that, because I feel like you definitely covered that one. Now I need to keep my eye open for a Destiny. I don't have one of those. If I was going to talk about some of my favorites for Busby, I do love. I gotta say I do love the Reaper is such a fun stock blaster, and I also have to say this color scheme, like Busby designs are definitely all like there's a lot of different ones. There's definitely the series that I gravitate towards where I'm like I love the look like this one and just the feel of this and like the blue and yellow.
That's what was termed the Fiesta. The Fiesta pattern.
Oh, is it?
Look
Okay.
at the shell.
Oh.
It's got all the little decorative features on it.
That's cool.
That was the Busby Fiesta.
So good. I'm only missing because of me. There we go. Ding. I mean, they're going just around the target. Again, we hit it again. This is just such a good stock blaster. I think it gets in the 80s. Just out of the box. Super cool. I really love the Gunsmoke. I think the Gunsmoke is just such a neat gimmicky blaster. Not getting amazing performance because my darts are very tattered, but who doesn't like zoom in on me for a second. and put this closer to the camera. Who doesn't like seeing that smoke come out of the barrel? That is a cool... I'm going to do one more against the blue background so people can see. That's so cool. We need more things like this in our blasters for sure. And then, I mean, I gotta say, I'm a bit of a Vulcan fan. I've been on a bit of a kick collecting Nerf Vulcans and chains, much to the horror of my storage problems. But that did make me pretty excited when I found this guy. I mean, it's super cool.
Overlord.
And this one had some chain with it. I'm always excited when I find a blaster that has chains with it. Oh my god, so hard to find that stuff. But
I have actually ran an Overlord in an HVZ.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Hilarious.
That would be really cool. I should fire it for anyone not familiar with this guy. I don't know what I have in for batteries, but we'll try it out here. Oh, that's actually. I only had a couple darts in there, but that actually fired really, really well. It's
unlike the Vulcan, it's a pure flywheeler, so.
Right, yeah. It's pretty well. One thing I like, I should have mentioned too, like one thing I would love to see. One thing I love about this blaster, and it's the same for the Overlord, is there's no separate rev trigger. Like having dual
stage trigger.
Yeah, dual stage trigger and blasters like this is so smart because, again, kind of speaking to what I see kids having trouble with all the time. Like if you're thinking about like not just what sells, but what actually is enjoyed and used by younger kids. And I've actually modded a couple Nerf barricades for people to have a dual stage trigger like this by moving around some switches. The accessibility is so much better to be able to do that.
I'm not too much of a flywheel guy, but that was why I absolutely adored the Brute.
Right.
And then, of course, the Busby has thankfully brought that dual stage trigger back with the Alpha Auto 72, which is my current favorite flywheel blaster.
That is
I'm not a flywheel guy, but honestly, that's the only flywheeler I need.
That is a fun one. I absolutely love the Alpha Auto 72. I have a Busby actually sent me an Alpha Auto 72, and I was very excited that they sent one all the way up to the Canadian North because it's not super cheap to send me anything from the U.S. And I was pretty pumped about it because I at the time when it was sent, I couldn't get them here. You can get them from here since, and I actually ordered a second one because I wanted to mod one for just a light mod, just a little bit of light mod to it. The only complaint I had about the Alpha Auto 72 is the drum rotated so freely that it is very easy to skip. Yeah, very easy to skip shots. But I use it a lot as I call it like a boss battle blaster. Like that's the type of blaster where like I'll pit the entire birthday party against me, and they'll have to hit me 20 times.
2 of them though. You have to have 2 of them. It's a requirement. You have to stand there with 2 of them, just holding down the triggers.
I mean, I have the technology. I have the means to do it. I haven't done it, but now I need to. Oh, we have Nerf talk here. Nerf talk here as well. Not enough Nerf Vulcans. Great thing to hoard. They're tiny. Like, yeah, it is a problem. Oh, Shaz is saying the original Busby Panthers are incredible. I know Shaz is a big fan of those. I'm going to go back up in the chat a little bit because I don't like to ignore the chat because I love that people come and ask questions. And Carl Davis, how about Busby attachments? The Hunter scope was cool, but he's not familiar with too many others. And it's probably fair to say there aren't tons and tons of Busby attachments.
There's actually a lot.
Is there? All right.
Years. One of my favorites came with not the thermal Zenith, which is my favorite 6-shot pistol. It's not the thermal Zenith, but the regular Zenith. It was available in 2 different options. It sold for $15 roughly retail with a little flip-up ladder sight. Like think World War I vintage, the ladder sights that had the sliding scale for you to judge range. I grabbed as many of those as I could. I actually run those little ladder sights on all kinds of things.
Interesting.
They also have a kind of like a fake ACOG sight. They have about 4 different types of scopes. They had not much in the way of like flashlights or things like that, and muzzles were all proprietary to their blasters.
Yeah,
they had a lot of sights. They had no fewer than at least like 8 or 9 sights, which doesn't sound like a lot in the realm of like Nerf's absolute absurdity of attachments.
Sure.
But Busby didn't really get into that, and that's something I've reiterated with them many, many times when I talk to them. Is like they need to standardize like all those different stocks that they put on different things. The worst case scenario of any blaster. You got the Busby Tactical Storm.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Eradicator. Same blaster. One sold under the Air Warriors, Busby's own branding. One sold under Adventure Force, Walmart branding. The stocks aren't cross-compatible.
Oh, I've noticed that because I have one with the stock and one without, and I'm like, oh well, it's cool that they don't fit.
And the Eradicator is by far, of course, the better one because it has the better grip.
Right.
So, and I've told them sometimes they just need to standardize that and need to sell more of their accessories separately, like their 30-round drum.
Right.
Literally the best drum that anybody's put on the market, and they don't sell it.
Right.
That's a shame.
I mean,
they've got a lot of accessories. It's just that they never sold them separately. Like Nerf did such a good job of packaging them and standardizing them and marketing them.
Right. Certainly standardizing. I mean, I feel like even Nerf could do a lot better at giving us some of that standalone stuff. Like, I think they used to do it a lot more than they do now. It feels like these days, if you want a certain thing, you have to buy the blaster. And I'm sure part of it is they probably just don't sell. Maybe they just don't sell as well. I mean, it's hard to say.
Going back like a few years ago, Nerf used to sell like lots of accessory kits. I think you can still get them on Amazon, but that was like a normal retail shelf item. There'd be all the blasters along the whole aisle, and there'd be a section that was accessory kits, like 5 different accessory kits for each, and it was color coded to match the lines. Like say there were Zombie Strike accessory kits, there were Modulus accessory kits, there were Elite accessory kits, and that has disappeared mostly. Yeah. I mean, there's still here and there, but Nerf had done a very, very good job of that, and I'd always kind of hoped that, Dart Zone, X-Shot, Busby, all of them would kind of emulate that.
Yeah.
And just for us, instead of having to buy a whole new blaster, because I want a second drum.
Right. And I feel like that's why I'm not as aware of a lot of the attachments for Busby stuff, because a lot of the Busby stuff that I've kind of held up today, it's all it's pretty much all thrifted. So if I have it, I managed to find it in, which I will say, for me living in a more remote, not remote, I'm not like in the remote, I'm not in the Yukon or anything, but I mean, I'm in a low population center, I'm on the east coast of Canada. When I go thrifting, it's to the one same place all the time. The amount of obscure stuff that I've found is mind-blowing. Like, it gives you a little bit of a picture in your head of how much of this stuff has been sold. Like, just the fact that you can go into random thrift stores and find so much.
I don't know why that is either, because Canada, for whatever reason, is a hotbed of rare Busby collectibles. Have no explanation. But I had somebody that I've conversed with, done some trading with, and his name's Rick Moon, and he finds so many, like, very limited run blasters. And he finds them all the time. And he lives over, I think, a little more centralized in Canada, but he finds so much that in this region in the United States never showed up.
Well, I think the Gunsmoke Blaster was a Canadian-only release, I think. I think that's part of why this one's so rare.
That's one of the ones I still don't have in my collection.
Oh, I have. I sent one to Walcom at one point I sent it for fun because every time I did a video on it, people were like, "Oh, Walcom would like to have that." I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send it for fun. I have this one and I have one other one, so we'll talk.
I heard you need a Destiny.
Well, we'll talk after and see what we can figure out. We might have a live trade figured out right here. No, it's so fun to collect stuff. I'm gonna go back to the chat for 1 second. It's hard to keep up. I love that you guys are in there chatting, asking questions, chatting with each other. American Foam saying Busby has his favorite color schemes, hands down. I mean, I would definitely agree that like I love this color scheme. Like I even like the hard, the hard yellow and black. I'm not as big a fan of like this color scheme and stuff. Depends on the blaster, but I definitely
That's an
like
ancient color scheme there.
Definitely. I mean, and that's the yeah. I mean, that's where I feel like that's the kind of stuff that people find first, and they're like, I don't know about this, and then over time you start finding everything. Not enough Nerf. Pure can. We had a stream a while ago where I was shooting cans off of Matt's head with a Nerf Zombie Strike Dreadbolt that fires those arrows, which are impossible to hit anything, and I hit a can off of his head, and so pure can. If I hit a target, sometimes I will say pure can. I like that this stream has been going long enough that there's little stream isms to it. I like it. Xbox games, not sure yet if we're gonna make the normal size Griffin use the new battery and grip or keep it stock. I think that's a mid chat that I missed part of. But I say make all the things. I'm having a hard time catching up. I love it. Well, you guys are entertaining yourselves in the chat, so that's good. That's good. Nerf Talk loves the Alpha Auto, crazy capacity. Nicholas Hamilton, heck yes, Busby special night. Glad to hear that. We were kind of joking earlier. It's like, like foam flinging is like niche enough, but like we're further down the rabbit hole going into Busby, which I love. Dorian Coltman says my favorite Busby blaster has to be the Rangemaster, hitting 90 to 100 with heavyweight sticky darts. Give it some impressive accuracy and range. That's really cool.
I've got a few of those and love that.
Not enough nervous saying, have you ever heard of the Exact Attack?
Oh yeah, that's just the Exact Attack. It's just a repackaging of the Zenith for Adventure Force. I've got about 5 of them.
That's awesome.
Like I said, the Zenith is my all-time favorite 6-shot pistol. It's not really holsterable, but I use it for pistol rounds because it's got a pump action.
Well, that's very cool. Counter Clockwork would give anything for a Sentinel re-release. The prices on those have gotten insane. Yeah, I do see that they are kind of expensive.
I can't share anything.
That would be. I feel like the re-release game is like that. I know we're talking about, but like I can't believe there's not more of that from everybody. I guess like from Nerf from.
I can tell you that Busby is working on re-releasing some very, very popular blasters from the past.
Oh, I think
that's been in the works since last year.
That would cause some pretty big excitement.
I can't share it because that was actually under not a legal NDA, but an understood one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
that's cool.
The ones, if they do follow through with it, it will literally break the market.
Awesome.
There was 3 that they were looking at, and they will literally shatter the reselling market if they do re-release these.
Right. That's interesting.
There's a few Busby blasters out there right now that people charge. It's just insane for what they charge compared to the original retail. Yeah. Like certain colors of the Snipe, the Sentinel, the Brute, people mark those way, way up.
Yeah.
Those aren't the 3, but
yeah.
But just using an example, like original Brutes, Sentinels, and Snipes, they were $20 and less.
Right. Yeah.
And now, like, I paid $60 for my in-box one. So that's over triple retail. But if they do follow through with what they were sharing with me last year during the summer, it would break that market.
I mean, that's exciting. I mean, it is exciting though whenever it lets because I mean, you're still going to have people who collect who want the original one, and I think it's just nice to give people who would never be willing to pay that much for one of the older ones a chance to use it. Like, I think that's fun, right? And for modding for sure. Absolutely. Nerf Talk was asking. He's like, he wonders if Busby will ever do any sort of half dart thing. I feel like you would know better than me. I feel like kind of like Nerf, they're probably much more like. I feel like there's other companies that are just like letting others take care of kind of the performance thing and just sticking to general. But
based on the president of Busby, what she told me, not verbatim, but they have two lines of thinking, and one is, of course, they're heavily reliant right now on the Adventure Force line for a big part of their profit margin. Understandably, because Kmart used to be one of their biggest retailers.
Right.
Kmart's no longer around, in any kind of capacity. So Busby is working with Walmart under the Adventure Force brand. And if you were to chart out the Adventure Force brand, you're looking at, like, Busby fills kind of the fun, family, silly side of that lineup. Yep. Neckshot's got its own little sliver. And then you've got Dart Zone filling out the more performance-oriented. So Dart Zone and Busby, they're not really competitors. Of course, anybody selling dart blasters are competitors for market share. But if you were to look at it, like, my two favorite brands are Dart Zone and Busby. Nobody knows me for Dart Zone, but I actually love Dart Zone's products. But they meld very well with Busby. Busby silly and fun, family-friendly kind of thing, Dart Zone performance. So they kind of like their market share of that family-friendly, silly, goofy thing. But they did start testing out a performance line. They did share that with me.
Interesting.
They did actually look into a 14-plus line and what it's going to take to bring it legally to market. So they didn't tell me I couldn't share that anywhere, but they were actually actively pursuing a 14-plus kind of line, which, for anybody knows, you have to meet a whole different legal guidelines to sell a blaster that is hitting at an energy coefficient that rates it as 14+.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of seeing, is it worth it for them to retool and meet that kind of criteria like Dart Zone had to? Because I think in our recent memory, we've forgotten Dart Zone was way out in fourth place before they revamped.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back 5 years ago, Dart Zone was it was Nerf, Busby, little distance, X-Shot, way back in the shadows, there was Dart Zone. They sold goofy things that I liked, like the Havoc and the Legend Fire.
Yeah.
And that was their best blasters on the market at the time. And then all of a sudden they just come swinging out and, they are where they are today. Busby's looking at, is it worth it for us to try to make that kind of attempt?
I think it's tricky though, because I think it works for Dart. I think what works for Dart Zone is they've found, so it'll be interesting to see if they do, because they've kind of found their niche. I know a lot of people, they really want Nerf to do more pro stuff, and I feel like people forget too, and I know, and myself, I get there are times where all the Nerf flywheelers, I'm a big flywheel guy, they're still using four double A's, 6-volt, pretty underpowered, and the thing, I don't crave high speed, for general fun, but I don't like that the flywheelers don't perform as well as the springers. So I almost always end up overvolting a little bit and adding 1 or 2 extra double A's and not really doing anything else, but just cranking it up a little bit. And I know people complain about that, but you do have to remember with these companies, they have to worry about legal requirements, and there's the rest of the world that, that we think some of our Nerf performance is bad. Whoa, wait till you see what some of the rest of the world is getting with those different colored triggers that have even more performance restrictions and stuff. So it's interesting to see. I feel like it's probably hard for any company to ride both halves of the line of performance and goofy. It's tricky. You don't want to lose your place. I'd be really interested to see what they do, because I would love some of the I just hope if they do some performance stuff, I hope they don't lose too much of the charm of how things look. Because I find Dart Zone is really lacking in aesthetics. Dart Zone makes amazing blasters, absolutely amazing blasters, but generally they look like some sort of real gun. I don't like. I think the Vulcanator is just one of the cool. Like, I think it's a super cool blaster, and it could not look more boring and generic. Like, I like the fact that the mags go on an angle because that's the only thing that looks interesting about it to me. So
I think diving deep into kind of the whole, I've done videos on the Adventure Force branding because there's still so many people that think that Adventure Force is Dart Zone, which is not.
Sure.
But honestly, I think that Busby and Dart Zone are like the perfect pairing because you got kind of the serious performance nature of Dart Zone making very good products that you can basically buy what would have been a project, a modded Retaliator in the Nexus, straight off the shelf, the Striker.
Oh, yeah.
And that's great. But then you still have right there under the same brand, you got the silly fun stuff too from Busby.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's great from, like, I think what Dart Zone has brought from an accessibility standpoint of, like, people getting into the hobby is great. Like, my friend Matt, I've made Matt do way more foam stuff than he ever would have imagined. And we've modded some stuff together, but, like, for him to be able to buy, be able to pick up a Tryon or pick up something and just be able to, some people just want to go play. Not everyone wants to build up something from scratch. So, like, having those options is, I think it's awesome. It's just, I think balancing performance and character, I think that's why I gravitate towards my favorites being, my favorite blasters are generally modded sleepers. Like, I don't generally do a lot of cosmetic mods to stuff. I respect it, especially integrations. That's something I'd like to get into more. But, like, I love something that looks like an old toy, but has higher performance. I just think that's cool.
I was going to say, if you're about to slam cosmetic mods, here I am, a Hydro Dip guy.
No, I don't, not at all. I just think it's neat when a blaster looks like my absolute favorite just from, like, I just like the concept of it. I love especially modding, and I try to, if I am going to mod something, if I found a broken one, I love taking a broken toy from, like, a thrift shop shelf and making that kind of a high-performance sleeper. I think that's really fun. Cosmetic stuff, I love. It's something I want to get into more. I really like integration stuff. I've followed, I've met him in real life, the Blaster Show. He does some really cool integrations with, like, 4 or 5 blasters. And then there's some great people out there in the community that do, like, integrations and painting and hydro dipping, which I love it all. But, like, it's just that, like, I mean, that's the great thing about it. We all have our personal preferences. I just love the, like, man, I just love taking, like, something that just looks like it's an older piece of crap. And it's like, oh, it shoots 150. I just think that's cool.
Well, let's turn it around then. We start talking about favorite blasters. What's your favorite and why?
Oh, man. So my favorites, all, like, I just start qualifying everything. If I was...
No, I'm gonna go put you on the spot. Absolute number one.
Absolute number one of all time. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm literally
interviewee now turns it on the interviewer.
I know. You're making me, like, look around. I'm gonna say probably a pretty weird one, but I just have a soft spot for it, and I do love, even though I have like a massive collection now, like, I love the accessibility of it. It might be the Rival Knockout, because I've done so many mods for that, and whether it's like Meeker, like, reshelling it to fire Demolisher rockets, or Paper Skeletons 3D did, like, a cool hopper, and he sent me some files, and Xbox games, back when I was kind of first doing channel stuff, like, we were chatting one time, and he emailed me it's a barrel for it was a Meeker mod, but then he had kind of remixed it, and it fired 2 mega darts at once. I've gone through more knockouts and modded more knockouts than I could shake a stick at. So, like, and it was early days of doing that stuff too. So I think if I was gonna pick one, it would probably be like, and also what got me into this is I bought for Easter, the Easter during the pandemic when it started, I bought 4 knockouts. I was like, I'm going to buy a knockout for each of the boys, and I bought I bought my girlfriend one and myself one, I'm like, that'll be fun. They say 14 plus. They must be, I'm 14 plus. That looks fun. And I was like, oh, these hit surprisingly hard. These hit a lot harder than like the strong arms I've been using. And that got me Googling. And before I knew it, I ordered a Jupiter kit from Out of Darts and like was head over heels into it. So I feel like there's that. Yeah, I just feel like that was I don't know. I just feel like that was I have a lot of fond memories tied up in it. So that was a really long answer. This is where I need Matt to poke me and be like, you answered the question. You're good. But I'm going to say the knockout, even though there's so many that I'm so fond of and plink around with. I just think the knockout is cool. I mean, I have in my little workspace at the little mini arena, I probably have 5 or 6 knockouts hanging on the wall, all with different mods. Because it was just such an easy one to get into.
That's one I've actually done a number of mods on. I actually love the knockout. I've done a few videos on it over the time, but that's kind of, nobody would ever associate me with that. But I do love the knockout. One for me that nobody would ever really go for, but I love, is the Tech 6.
Excuse me, sorry.
Everybody just, thrifts them to cannibalize them.
Yeah.
But it's hilariously easy to actually make them competitive.
Yep.
You can get 80, 90 feet per second out of a Tech 6 really easy. I actually did a few videos showing it, but that is a oddball that nobody would ever really go for.
Yeah, I love, that's the thing, like, as much as, I'm like looking around and there's like a Terror Scout drone that I put googly eyes on. That's like the extent of my cosmetic modding to it. And like, I eat all of the goofiness, the goofiness up, but there's something about like a blaster that's just like really simple and easy to mod. With my friend Marcus foam blasted the confusingly named Tech 3. I think they renamed it the little X Shot. I think they renamed it something else so that they weren't stealing the name. But the little X Shot blaster that you like would spin the cylinder. He printed a bunch of different barrels for that, and we had a really good time just like me testing out a bunch of different barrels and firing different things. And there's something nice about a small project too. Like in a world of like, not everything has to be a multi-night $80 in parts and motors and springs.
Oh no, little blasters are very fun. Like you mentioned, X-Shot little blasters. The X-Shot Micro is hilariously fun to mod and play with.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've never done one, you need to do an X-Shot Micro, the single shot version.
Yep.
That thing has surprisingly good potential in it.
Oh yeah, it has. I think those are, and they're kind of fun too because they come up. I mean, they're already inexpensive, but they come up in like little thrift bags all the time too, where there'll be like 2 or 3 of them for like a couple bucks. So I have a bunch of those laying around. Something I was going to say about the knockout as a mod platform too. One thing that was cool about the knockout is it had enough spring and plunger volume that you didn't really have to do any other mod. Like you could really just like inline clip it or do like whether if you were able to like print parts. Like all the knockout stuff I've done, I've never changed the spring in it because that spring would fire.
I've modded 5 of them or 6 at this point now, and all I do is I switch them to half dart.
Yep.
And I paint them. Right. That's it.
Yeah.
And there is something nice about that where I've done a couple of splatter jobs, and splatter paint on them. I've done a few hydro dips, and it's kind of nice. You just take the body panels off, paint those, put it back together with a brass barrel.
Yeah.
That's it.
We did an activity night with the kids where like a couple of the kids took a couple. Because I got a bunch of knockouts at one point from Walmart. They were clearing them out for $5 Canadian, and I think I bought 15 of them or something because I'm like, I don't know. And at the time I was like, well, maybe I'll sell some stuff on Etsy or whatever. Like for $5 I'll get them, which is why I'm where I'm at now with my storage problems. But we took them apart and like the kids painted them and like figured it. I also think a lot of this stuff is just so cool for like learning how things work and like how things go together and all of that stuff. Like even from whether it is like springers or electronics mods, like you learn a lot of stuff anytime you tear anything apart. You learn a ton.
Oh yeah, if you came into this just in the past few years, you missed the olden days of where we were taking apart the oldest of end strike blasters and stretching the springs and doing penny mods.
Right, yeah. I mean, I would have missed that era of things. I mean, I know of it now. It's funny. I've actually kind of gone back and, like, have done that just for fun. Like, just to be like, oh, I want to see what kind of difference that makes.
That's now like the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
I can remember doing that with a few of the old end strike and then do it with us stretching springs, penny mods, and E-taping underneath the O-rings because we have no way of getting compatible O-rings. Now they're just off the shelf.
Right. It's very, very cool. I'm going to apologize to people, too. I keep coughing. I'm just getting over a bout of pneumonia. I just cannot... and in my high-tech setup, there's no way for me to mute myself without muting Jake as well. So that's why, if you're like, why don't you mute when you cough, you YouTube streamer? That's why. I can't. So I'm muting myself by covering my mouth. I'm gonna go back to the chat for a minute here. Oh my goodness, we're past 11. We'll wrap it up pretty soon. I usually try to keep it to a strict hour, but I'm having fun. I'm gonna catch up on the chat here. Oh my goodness, there's so much in the chat. I'm not gonna go all the way up because I'd like to, but we don't have that kind of time. I think I saw Paper Skeletons 3Ds in here. Are you sure we should make all the things? That's a dangerous game. Shaz is saying, bring back the creamsicle Big Blast. Yeah, that sounds like a good time. Miss Not Nerf, Not Enough Nerf, and Miss Not Enough Nerf saying they love Dart Zone as well. I mean, I do too. I know I was kind of giving them not pooping on them, but just giving them a little bit of grief, like. I just think the aesthetic that they're going for is probably exactly what they should. There is a market in the hobby of people who want kind of more of a paintball experience with their friends. Like they want to be more serious, and there is like the whole there's a market for all this stuff. Like I would never say like all the Dart Zone stuff should be big and cartoony. Like I don't want to take away what other people like as well. I just mean for me personally, I love a goofball side of things for sure.
For every one of this style, you need something silly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have a lot of fun with that stuff too. Like I have a Viper. I was sent a Viper to review, and I'm like, that's a cool blaster.
I still haven't got a Viper yet.
It's good. I missed out.
This one I just held up was the Raptor.
Right. Yeah.
Getting ready. I absolutely love this thing. I'm getting ready to do a full mod on it. I got all the parts in. Finally, they just came in yesterday.
Is that another?
So that'll be a project for a rainy day.
Is that another proprietary mag or?
What's that?
Is that another proprietary mag in that one?
That is, and I went ahead and ordered extra mags. And I ordered the upgraded pleasure tube, the barrel, the replacement O-rings. I've got a 16 kilogram spring to throw in it.
Oh, that'll be cool.
I'm gonna make that one hit pretty hard.
Wow, that's fun.
I absolutely adore pistols quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because I like to be mobile. So I've actually got the longest barrel that they've got with the highest spring they provided as an option, and I'm gonna set that up with a SCAR. Trying to shoot for about 220 feet per second out of that, if I can.
That's kind of the funny thing about it, like foam flinging stuff. It's like, I mean, there are exceptions, but like in some ways, the size of the blaster doesn't even matter. You can have like a pistol that's outperforming primary. Like
I'm gonna drop in all metal parts on that one, so I don't always do just Busby. That's gonna be one of my personal ones that when there are some high FPS rounds, then I'll have something that I can kind of run and gun with.
No, that's really fun. One of my favorites from a pure like practical standpoint, if I can use the word practical in this hobby, I think I can. I'm going to. I love the Worker Nightingale. I think the Nightingale is one of the most fun blasters I have. It has like a cool. It's not super goofy or anything, but it has like at least it has like a cool sci-fi look to it more than like a real firearm look. I just love it has that dual stage trigger. I don't mind those, it's kind of its own proprietary mag too that I think they hoped would catch on a little bit, but didn't really. But I ordered a bunch of them because I like.
Ever grabbed a Hurricane?
No.
the Worker Hurricane.
Don't have
Or was
one.
that slightly just before you got nosediving into the hobby?
Yeah, a bit
the Worker
before.
Hurricane, it came with a proprietary box mag. It's a 6-round revolver mag that looks literally like a box, and it looks like a sci-fi, like if you were to say a phaser pistol.
You know what? I've seen them like.
I've got 2 of them. If I had to say a Flywheel pistol, that is still my favorite to this day because it's very small, very compact. I've got one of the limited edition translucent red ones, but I actually run with one of the original white ones, and they're very, very inexpensive, like sub $30.
I don't know that I realized that the Hurricane was.
Straight
I didn't know that I realized that's how the Hurricane worked. It's one of those weird ones where, like, when I would cruise the out of dart sales or cruising through, I'd see it, and I never really focused on it. Now I want to go. Now I want to go focus on it. Which
yeah, I actually run one sometimes. I've got a little belt set up, and I have pouches with one mag in each one of them, and it's just a 6-shot revolver, and it also. They were sold with. You could also buy a mag adapter, and they ran really well with like the old Nerf 6-round mags.
Oh, really?
In a vertical format.
Oh, that's really cool.
They were designed to run off of IMRs or a proprietary, not really proprietary, but a small LiPo pack that Worker sold the rewiring kit for. You just desoldered and rewired it for a LiPo that they sold.
Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds like something I would definitely be into. Now I need to go back.
Pocket size.
Now I need to go back and look at that a little again. I'm just here. What are we got here? Let's see. But darts. We got a controversial thing in the chat here. But Dart Zone did. Let's see if I get this. But Dart Zone did, and I'm sure this was like a comment to something we were talking about a bit ago. But I'm still going to go back to it here. Oh, wait. Busby actually manufactures the Try-On for Game Face, so I feel like they have the manufacturing capabilities. Does Busby do the manufacturing for the Game Face?
That you could say in a roundabout way.
Okay.
The same plant in China that does Busby manufacturing does Game Face manufacturing.
Gotcha.
Because I think the backstory is that Busby was approached because Crossman now owns Game Face. And
right, I didn't know that.
Of course, air rifles, pellet and BB air rifles, pistols, and now air bows. They own Game Face, so they don't produce foam blasters of any kind.
Right.
They're subcontracted out.
Okay, that's interesting.
And turns out that Busby's that subcontractor.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna read through this next comment because usually we don't get. Let's see. But Dart Zone did revamp. Meanwhile, we are in an infomercial for a plea of a failing dart blaster company reintroducing anything. The market isn't going to do anything. Zuru has spoken. #BuzzBoo. I don't know what that means, but I will say. I mean that's fine. People are certainly welcome to their opinion. I will say neither Jake and I are here getting paid buckets of money to say that we like these goofy blasters. We're doing it because we like them. I mean, I don't know. People have weird stances, man. Like, I'm excited about the new X-Shot Zero stuff. It's just such a weird. It's almost like the Airsoft thing. Like, I do not understand. Some people just seem, I'm not like pooping on you there. Thoughtseize. Some people just don't seem to be able to enjoy one thing without comparing and saying how bad another thing is. I don't know. Like, I have every single brand of stuff in here. Anyway, interesting. I read it because I'm like, let's get into it. I'm just gonna go back through the end of the chat here. Nerf Talk saying hydro dipping isn't easy. I've never hydro dipped anything. It is something I definitely want to try. Not enough Nerf agreeing the knockout is good. Pilot mods have been good. I would agree.
Here's a hydro dip I just did to go on to that.
Ooh,
that's one I've just done.
That's cool.
That is the Frantic Fury that I'm actually building for personal use for this summer.
That's awesome.
It's orange, white, and black, Mongoose team colors for the mountain bike team. And this is the one that I'm going to actually be building to be about a 175 FPS blaster.
That's
the goal.
Well,
it's going to have full full metal breech, so that's using one of the. I was mentioning the Sentinel breech earlier.
Yep.
That you can get off of Etsy, and it's from Foam Sport. I actually bought one to put into that Frantic Fury, which is the CNC machined aluminum breech that's full sealed. It even has an O-ring for the sealing.
That's so very cool. I'm gonna have to look.
Gonna get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. That looks pretty cool. I love the idea too of just like building yourself a blast. Like that's something I feel like I almost need to do more of, is because sometimes you kind of get into like, it's like, oh, it would be cool to mod, like I'll mod something, and I'm doing it because I want to do it, but I'm not even thinking like I'm gonna use this. Like I need to do a little bit more like, what are some of my favorites, and like spend some time and like do those ones. I actually think I am gonna mod the and I know we're on the I know we're talking Buzzbee, but like the new the double punch, the Nerf double punch, like super.
That's actually I don't have one yet, but I actually think that's a really cool concept that Nerf did. Kind of going back to where they had so many unique and goofy blasters back in the past.
Yeah.
Like now it's like now we see like the old Manta and we adore that thing.
Yeah.
I had one as a kid.
I think I
would love to see Nerf do more of that.
I agree.
They used to be the king. They used to be the king of the unique, weird and wacky.
Right.
And they've gotten away from it too much.
They really have. And I mean, I think they've been like just kind of playing it safe and like just doing so much franchise stuff, like Fortnite stuff and Roblox stuff, and maybe making things look kind of goofy, but just mechanically very, very similar blasters. So I was happy to see that one. That is one I am going to do, like, again, like, not a heavy mod to, but just mod it so it's shooting, like, mid-90s. I don't really care if it's super accurate. Like, it might be more of, like, an HVZ type of thing. But, like, yeah, I just like to see... I would love to see a bit of a return to just more fun stuff for sure. This was fun. I could go all night here, but I feel like we should probably wrap up here pretty soon. I'm gonna ask the chat here, and yes, Nerf Talk, the double punch. It came out. It was $50. It went on sale like the next day. It was in Toys R Us for $50. The next day it was 30 Canadian. I actually, like an old person, I took my receipt to the store and said, "Excuse me, I bought this yesterday, and I would like my $20, please." And I got my refund. Thoughtseize.
When you buy so many blasters yourself, you have to.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Thoughtseize came back, just saying he was the one who had the comment kind of on like the infomercial. Sorry to spice things up. To be completely honest, I love the blasters. I was just talking on the point that Buzzbee's big plan is to re-release. I mean, I don't think that's the only thing they're planning to do, but I think there is definitely, but I think like there is a hunger for re-releases, like just so that we can get our hands.
Not like their big plan. That was just something I think that if they do actually follow through with it, the ones that they told me that they were thinking of re-releasing, I think that they would be such iconic ones that it would be worth being noteworthy.
Right.
I don't think that's their big plan, but it's the ones, if they do follow through with it, and it was like 50-50 when they were talking about it with me, it's just, I don't think anybody would complain to see those. And the resale market, I think that's where I was talking about how it would be, that would kind of break that market a little bit.
Right.
Because the people that just want to get their hands on some of these iconic blasters, like, go try to find a good condition Sentinel right now.
Right, and that's why I saw one I saw that one and I found on the floor and literally like picked it up so fast. I'm sure like I
like give me.
Yeah,
give me. I'm going straight to the counter with it.
I get a lot of weird looks at when I go to Value Village walking around. But I was pretty excited. I almost missed it. I went around looking at all the shelves and then was on my way out and like almost tripped on it. And was like, oh my god, it's a Sentinel. Anyway. No worries about spicing things up. Definitely all opinions welcome. I guess my thing was I just wanted to kind of reiterate of like I do like 100% appreciate Buzzbee. I still have a huge passion for all, and I know like in the hobby, we sometimes we love to be really down on Nerf. I think they've still provided us with a lot of enjoyment, and there's a lot of years of enjoyment for things to come. Love to see what Dart Zone's doing. Love to see other blasters kind of creeping in. You know, we're starting to get even higher quality stuff coming from overseas with blasters like the Unicorn. Like, I just think, you know, it's kind of the old like rising tide thing. Like, the more there is,
you got one early.
right. The more that happens, the more.
I'm still waiting on mine. Mine's supposed to be here in about a week.
Oh yeah, the Unicorn's super. I'm very happy with it. I actually am I feel like I'm in the minority of. I did not enjoy the Try-On as much as some people did. I found the Prime real thick. I don't know what it was. I like the Unicorn more. Anyway, it's all. I appreciate what the Try-On did though too. The spacers and the ease of changing your FPS, brilliant. Like that's a great idea. Like they did some cool stuff.
Going along that lines, did you ever try the Orange Modworks SR200?
No, I haven't.
I've got two of them here. Let's see. Let me grab mine. This one.
I remember seeing stuff on it.
My review was a little down on it. Originally,
yeah.
I was pretty harsh on this one because I paid my own money, $150 for it, and it was pretty lackluster. But they have rectified basically every single complaint that I had, except for the muzzle. It doesn't have an ability for a scar yet. And this stock is in place of a threaded cap, so you can change your spring spacer. They have a little proprietary tool that you just back out the spring spacer. It's threaded in, and you've got basically just under HVZ, right around 150, and then getting close to 200.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's like a total, start to finish 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So pretty nice. It came with a 7 kilogram spring and a 12 kilogram spring. This does basically the exact same thing as a Try-On, but it's much smoother. But it's also much more expensive. It was a $150 blaster.
Right.
So,
right.
But this is one I actually personally run. And I do like it. It's just, it definitely has its hang-ups for a $150 blaster.
Right.
So, because the Try-On does most of what it does at, a much lower price point.
Yeah.
But this has a much smoother prime. Like, it's just one finger here. Easy. That's with the 12 kilogram in it right now.
That is pretty good. I gotta say,
That's what I don't think there's a lot of people who've been around a long time and they don't really want to invest into Orange Modworks. And I think that also hurt it a lot.
I think that's the blaster I remember seeing Luke from Out of Darts doing some reviews on, and it, like the priming handle kept breaking as well, or maybe I'm confused.
I had issues with mine quite a bit on my initial one, and then they sent out a new tester and some updated parts for those of us who had it early.
Right.
They did their best to kind of fix all the issues. But you just mentioned that ease of changing. This kind of did it first, because this was well before the Try-On was ever to market. And all you do is rotate this off, and your spring spacer's right underneath of it.
They just get kind of overshadowed by the bad press at the time. Because I don't even remember that it did that.
In the end, it didn't come with a stock. It had a very tight mag well that was kind of hard to get, line up your mags. And it came with basically zero options. You just got your base blaster.
Right.
Well, for all of us who bought it, they went ahead and sent out this whole kit with a very nice stock and a bunch of other parts to fix everything.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Kind of my eyes, they kind of fixed, their flaws. But that one is, if you've never tried it, if anybody has one, it's worth a shot.
Well, for me, maybe the next time I travel, I'll find someone that has one. It's always hard to. Well, around here, I'm the one who has all the things that people can try. There are a couple people in my area that collect or like make stuff, but not too many. One thing I do love about the Unicorn is because it has that skinny pusher, it has that spring return on the Prime. This thing has such a great prime. I'm a pretty big fan. The one I have here only has the one spring, so it's a sub 150 blaster for me. I don't know how well it'll do higher, but anyway, it's we're just hitting all the topics, and I love it. I'm gonna go to the chat here again. I'm like creeping over my own time limits because that's what happens when I have fun, and Matt's not here to be like, Look at the time.
I'm good to go.
I love it. American foam. That's the best part about thrifting is almost tackling small children to get the good blasters first. Joking. I know you're joking, but I feel like I feel like probably all of us can relate to the feeling of going in and seeing a kid playing with something that. So I will say, every once in a while I'll get the comment and be like, "Oh, like you're just taking all the blasters from the kids." The same people who are saying Airsoft Pro. I leave so many things. Most of the time, what I'm taking are literally blasters that like don't even have. That, like no kid's gonna find darts for a nitron. Like no kid is going to even enjoy half the things that I'm taking. Not everything. Like the odd thing that I grab. Sure, certainly the odd thing that I grab. Like yes, a kid could technically have fun with it, but for the most part these days when I'm thrifting, it's like rarer stuff, the stuff that takes like weird proprietary mags, because that stuff never comes with the mags or the right ammo or anything. So the kids have enough. It's our time. That's what I say. I'm kidding. Let's see. Nerf Talk. Don't tell everyone our secret, Brad. Nerf Talk. Heading off. Take care. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for coming very much. Miss Not Enough. American Foam. Luckily, I'm small and good at tackling. Perfect. That's great. And Miss Not Enough. She can tackle on behalf of Not Enough, and he can just like carry all the blasters out. Good stuff. Now this has been super fun just to chat about all this stuff. I in between my coughing fits. I love doing these Friday night foam streams. I love that you guys come. This is like the biggest excuse for me to just like think of like all the YouTubers that I've wanted to meet that I've been watching since I started, and everyone has been so nice to come on. I really appreciate that, Jake, you taking the time to come on here. I've been watching your stuff. Like I found you right away, and it was probably from. It literally was probably from when I started doing. You know, you start down the YouTube rabbit hole. And looking at different blasters and like Googling what are popular ones to mod, and there was probably I forget what, but there was probably a cool looking Busby blaster that I found thrifting, and I like was Googling it, and I'm sure you were the first person to come up, and I've watched a lot of videos since, and it is no, it's cool, it's cool, it's such an interesting. It's such an interesting hobby. It is really a lot of fun. I know I have a lot of people who kind of, you know what? I'll ask you this: of your kind of circle of friends, do you have many friends who are also into it, or is this just kind of like the weird side thing that you're known for in your area?
There's a couple, but I'm kind of like you. I'm the predominant person that has the stuff,
yeah.
And some people join in.
Right.
That's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
But you know, that's perfectly fine because maybe by extension, you know, I have had friends who have went on to enjoy the hobby. Yeah. I've modded some blasters for people to take and go do HVZs. I've actually gotten at least 3 or 4 of them into HVZ at the very least.
Yeah.
So, by extension, hey, if I'm the one who's kind of spreading it out a little bit, that's even better.
No, for sure.
As it is. I'm kind of, you were mentioning the rabbit hole. It's like, I'm down the rabbit hole, keep going. You found the darkness, keep going. Go to the left, and then keep going down again.
Eventually you'll just come out the other side.
There's the Mongoose Jake.
That's right. Yeah, it's it is something that I wish there was more events closer to where I am. Like, so when I went to Maryland Mayhem, my friend Matt came with me, and Matt's kind of like we joke that he's been forced into the hobby, but like I think not speaking for him because he's not here, but he's a pretty competitive guy. Like he plays a lot of ball and plays a bunch of stuff, and he really enjoyed the tournament. And I think he thought the HVZ aspect of things was pretty cool. And I know it's one of those things that there is more stuff happening closer. I think I know a few more people who would get into it, so I guess I'll just have to plan more events and get those going. But it is, I don't know, it's a good time for sure. Thoughtsy says he's newer to the Nerf hobby, but Jake, you have a new fan. Good stuff tonight, guys. That's good. Thank you for coming. Thanks for joining in on the chat. That's definitely it's definitely appreciated. Miss Not Enough saying good night. Thank you for coming along and chatting as well. Very, very cool. at some point, I feel like I need to figure out how to do it, like, the end of the year. I need to figure out some way to have, like, a super chat with, like, all the guests from the year on. We'll have some sort of, like, round table thing. That would be a good time. I'll have to work on the technology for that. Any final
huge Zoom meeting.
That's right. Any final thoughts from the chat or questions from the chat before we sign off? Oh my goodness. Hopefully the next time I'm streaming, I do not have some sort of lung infection. I feel like it sounds like I just smoked a pack of cigarettes and came down here to do the stream, and that is not the case. Not enough false
cigars.
That's right. Not enough false alarm stream goes on. We've indulged. This happened when Not Enough was on too. We were having a, we ended up, we drifted a little bit over. Sometimes it happens. If you're having fun, again, it's all up to us. We are, even though sometimes I feel like you probably do this too. It's funny how you get so deep into a hobby and doing this stuff, it almost not all the time, but like there are times where it like feels like a job, and you have to remind yourself of like, this is not a job. Like I was like, oh, I got to keep it to an hour. I was like, I'm not going to get in trouble. It's going to be okay. If I don't get some mod I wanted to get done, I'm not going to lose my job. It is a hobby, and it can be easy to get sucked up in it. Like you just get so obsessed, or at least I know I do. It sounds like you do too. You have bins of incomplete projects. I feel like you probably know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, there's a 15 up there. There's 15 up there, and one tore apart on the workbench. So beside me here. So I haven't been showcasing my mods that much, and I've been very, very bad about that. But as many reviews as I do, I've got about as many mods.
Yeah,
that's a big backlog.
It's tough. I find it's tough too when, like, I mean, I love being sent things to review. That's really fun. Like when I started doing, I'm like, how cool is it for someone to send me a toy and want my opinion on it? I think that's awesome. I do think it does, like, I do feel like I've kind of getting to a little bit to the point of just trying to be better at saying like, thank you very much, but like not at this time or whatever, because you can get into a little bit of a thing where you have this impending backlog of things
I've
review.
Refused quite a few, and I've refused a lot actually from a lot of the Chinese companies, especially when they have this thing where they want you to accept payment for it.
Yeah,
that is an absolute no for me.
Yeah,
that one I had that a lot during the pandemic. There was a lot of them that were like giving $50 to do this review, and no.
Yeah. It's and you can just get into this trap where you're not talking about the things like there's something that's fun and you're like, oh, I don't have time to do that, and then you just have to go. Why?
No, you gotta look at the fun and goofy stuff. Which one like this? This is the kind of stuff I like. This one, weird, oddball little thing. You were talking about the trigger fire earlier in the stream.
Yeah.
And your nail biter. That's what this is.
That's cool.
It's trigger activated, and the hilarious thing is, this has a power adjuster. All it is a pre-compression. You twist this, and it compresses the spring.
Oh, that's a neat idea.
Has a little meter. Really fine and hard to see here, but there's a little meter. Oh, and as you twist it, it goes up and down. I found this thing, and this is the kind of reviews I love to do. I've just been plinking away with it. It's a little made by Blazestorm. Yeah. Like, I still want to have time to do this. You were talking to, you want to be able to do what do the things you want to do, not be forced into a backlog.
Yeah.
I want to check this thing out.
For sure.
This thing's hilariously fun. And if I let myself get too backed up and, like you were talking about how this isn't a job, it's like, I want to play with this.
For sure. I did, it's funny, I was actually going to, Not Enough is on here. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure Not Enough's done some stuff on that brand. It's one of these things I have to admit sometimes too, is I get so caught up in like making stuff, reviewing stuff, and doing all that, I get behind on other people's videos and like have to like, I'm going on a road trip here soon to go to PA Survival Fest. I'm going to go to an HVZ in Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm basically going to download a bunch of people's YouTube videos and just listen to them while I'm driving, because at least I'll like kind of get caught up, because like it's just hard to find the time for everything. I listen to some while I'm working, but I'm like behind on people's, and like I want to make stuff, but I want to support people too. But yeah, that's a cool blaster, and it's funny. I got into this rabbit hole at one point a while ago, like speaking of things, just doing things you want to do, even though you know like it's not going to get any views. Because that can be a dangerous thing to get like too addicted to trying to do that stuff. I spent so much time playing around with a barricade, and I did like a full mod guide on a barricade, and I was like, just me doing a mod guide for a barricade, like 12 years too late or 10 years too late, because I moved the switch around.
It's genuine.
Well, and it's
genuine,
right?
It's like, what you like,
and like
it's like I got videos that I absolutely know are going to be absolute flops, but I had fun with it. Like I think this thing here, I think it got like 150 views. I still use it. I'm still having fun. This is the Busby Slingshot.
Yep.
I'm still having fun with it. I plink cans and I got the little plastic targets. It's like I actually use this thing all the time. It's fun for me. I don't care if it got views.
Right, and that's the best way to be. It's definitely the best way to be, and a lot of times it'll lead to it anyway, because you seem more sincere if you're doing stuff. Like I think that one's cool. Like, and yeah, I don't know. It's easy to get wrapped up in. It's just easy. Now we're into like the philosophy of like doing like a YouTube channel, but it's easy to get wrapped up in stuff. And I think that's why I personally enjoy doing. I like mixing in shorts. I am trying to purposely do more long form stuff and give myself a little bit more time to chat about stuff, because I've kind of gotten a little too far away from that. But I also, my attention span is so wild. If I didn't do shorts, it wouldn't give me a chance to talk about so many weird random things that I pick up. Like, because I also love
I am the worst person for shorts. I can't even do a reasonable length video. I know I'm infamous. I've seen the comments on social media about me. It's like people will say, "Can you not cut down your videos from 20 minutes?" Like, no, I'm talking. It's like that, because I talk like this right here. I chat like even here just by myself. It's like the camera set up, I'm rolling. It's like I just chat like everybody's here.
Yeah.
And that's both a blessing and a curse. You know, I don't have the ability to like condense it down like Coop. He is like the perfect, like sticking to his script. I couldn't do that.
No.
I couldn't do it. And if I did, it wouldn't be me. So it would just be absolutely so disingenuous. Because that's just not me.
For sure. And I feel the same way about Coop's stuff. Coop's reviews are probably when I'm actually looking to like for a quick look at like what was the FPS on that blaster, or like what, like was that blaster any good? If I find a thrifted one, he's usually my go-to because it's so succinct and it's the same formula. But like not everyone has to be that. He's that. So like I like that, you know, I like more conversational ones. Some of your videos will be on my playlist when I'm doing that 13-hour drive for sure that I haven't had a chance to watch. And like I'll have a bunch of ones on there. I'll have the PNNN podcast on there. I'll have some Not Enough Nerf. I'll be catching up on everybody's stuff on that. I'll need things to entertain me during that drive.
The more you want to catch up on, the less of mine you'll have to mix in because they just get too lengthy.
No, it's good. It's good. And that comes down to again do what you enjoy. And I actually do enjoy doing doing some shorts. And like I'll get, you know, all the time people are like, I'll see people they're like, oh, I don't like shorts. I'm like, that's fine. Like it's fine. Like you don't. I'm not coming over to your house and saying, hey, you need to watch this. Like just don't. Like it's again like you got to find your joy in this stuff and do.
Yeah, it's pick and choose. It's because it's like it's not a competition really.
No,
we're all just doing the same thing in the same hobby in our own different ways.
I agree that I've had this conversation. I feel like I've had this with Not Enough before that no one who watches this type of content has one YouTube channel that they watch. Like they generally cruise through. They have a collection of people that they like their opinions and they go through them. Like more hobby stuff in front of more people. Like usually whenever I'm doing videos, like I always, if there's something I saw of someone else's, like I try to send people to that channel as well, or mention so and so took more of a look at this than I did, or like I think that's better overall. Like it's like a multiverse of YouTube creators. We don't have to live in a vacuum. Like the more stuff there is, the better. Excuse me. American Foam just came in with kind of a good point. He's like, I watch Coop in the toy aisle. I watch Jake and Xavier on the weekends when I'm working on my projects in the workshop. I enjoy the longer form stuff quite a bit. I noticed that American Foam, even though he said when he watches you and when he watches Xavier and Coop, he didn't say when he watches me. But I'll let that stand.
I've always liked Xavier's approach to it. He has kind of the same mentality I do.
Yep.
Because my whole mentality is, if I'm going to talk about something, I want to talk about it like, whoever's watching is one of my buddies here in the shop with me, and they just ask me, what do you think of this?
For sure.
And then I just go from there. So yeah, it becomes more of a conversation with me and less of a firing demo.
Yeah.
And I know that's not for everybody. I'm not going to be for everybody. I'm probably going to always be a small little channel off to the side. That's that odd guy that likes Busby. But that's me. That's who I am. And some people are going to see me as, too talkative or too focused on Busby. That's fine. That's me. It's what I like. And if it's not for everybody, it's not for everybody. And, but some people are going to find that that's what appeals to them.
If there's
that's kind of who I'm here for, and if that's that's like that would be the people who would have been my buddies in the workshop with me that I'm chatting with,
right?
And that's kind of how I've always approached everything. If I'm going to give my opinion, I'm going to treat it like you're one of my friends that I'm talking with.
If there's
even
ever
if it is a camera on a tripod.
If there's ever anyone who's not going to judge you for long conversations, it's me. I feel like you and I we could pull off like a 5-hour stream. You and I both I think we have that in common, that we like to chat. That's why I joke of like, basically like my stuff is either like, it's either a hard 60 seconds or it's just like long, and it might be like a 15 or 20 minute review on something too. It's either a hard, for me it's either a hard one thing or the other. Once I start chatting, I kind of want to chat. American Foam, I just watched your long form unicorn and double punch video the other day. I was just kidding. Kidding. But thank you for watching. But definitely kidding. That was a fake tier.
Specifically on the unicorn. How did you get yours so quick? I ordered mine like as soon as they were notified anywhere, and I got it from the that M416 gel blaster company. They were the first one that I could find that had it. Mine, I think, got caught up in customs, and I'm supposed to get it next week, I believe.
I'm so sorry for...
You got an inside line.
Ooh, there. So I was actually really lucky on the unicorn. KM... Oh my goodness. I was contacted by someone on Instagram who works for the company, who is at the factory, and asked if I wanted to review it. And what's interesting, I feel really bad. Keychain Meta, I think. KM Keychain. I have it in the description of the review.
I've seen them. I've seen their profile.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, when they reached out and I was chatting with someone, and we had a little bit of like, lost in translation issues. Like they were kind of asking some broad questions, and I was trying to help as much as I could, like with things. And that conversation, and it's interesting too, because I was kind of at a point at that point where I was like, I think I'm kind of done with reviewing like gel blasters and stuff, unless it's something that's kind of interesting. There are a few that I think are interesting. I think gel has like a place. I don't think it's all bad, but I was like, I don't think I want to just review like random gel stuff. I want to slow that down. And this company reached out, and they're like, we're actually doing like a foam dart blaster. I'm like, oh, okay. If it fires a foam dart, I'm in. And that conversation was underway for quite a long time. And at one point I gave my address, and he was saying, he's like, oh, we're just like making some changes to the production model. It'll be a bit. And then they got back to me a while later. So this conversation was all happening before I'd ever heard of the unicorn. So literally mine was kind of on its way when I started, my ears started perking up, and other people were like, oh, like Valor and Udda Darts, they were like, oh, the unicorn, it's going to be great. And I'm like, oh, I have one of those coming. Like, I really didn't know much about it other than, oh, it fires darts, looks cool, sure, I'll try one. So I was pretty fortunate in that regard, and that's why it came so quickly. Is it was already on its way, like.
And I will admit, I have not watched your video, and it's been absolutely intentional.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I have a kind of unofficial policy that I don't watch anybody's videos on any blaster that I personally haven't tested yet.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I sometimes I used to do that all the time, and I've like now it's like a weird split. It almost depends for me how passionate I am about it. If it's kind of like something where I'm like, it might also depend how much I want, like how eager I am to know about it. Because sometimes I do like to form my own opinion on stuff too. Like I always worry that I'm just gonna end up accidentally regurgitating things as well, and have it like in my head that like, oh, look at all these great insights I had, and then I watch it after and be like, oh, are those all things that I watched from other reviews? So I totally get that. I don't always do it these days because sometimes I get impatient and I'm really curious about something. But
that's been a test for me on that one, on the unicorn especially, because it's like I know mine's coming next week.
Yeah.
And I've been forcing myself to not watch your video because I think you're the only one that's got a video out currently.
Yeah, there's not a lot of reviews. Like Valor has a video kind of talking about kind of his experience. Chatting back and forth.
He was talking about, but his is like a pre-production, I think.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of like how I was on the pre-production of the Orange Mogworks SR200. I got an early tester, and it had all kinds of issues. You know, I'm not going to count that, but I did watch Valor's on the pre-production.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I was like, well, if it's even half as good, because he was just glowing about it.
Yeah.
I was like, this sounds like something I want to put my $90 on.
It's, yeah, I mean... I
ordered it.
I won't spoil it for you by talking about it too much, but I will. It's funny, like in the review I did, like I literally am opening up the box and knew very little about it. I actually I knew very little about it, and it was.
So sometimes you went straight into unboxing and trying it.
Yeah,
so that's like a raw. It was a raw review.
It was pretty raw, and it has me being very.
I don't mean that in a way detracting against the review. Because sometimes that's actually a good way of looking at it. Because I'm the over-analyzing. I fired like every blaster. It seems absolutely insane. Even the, like a cheapo $10 Busby blaster, I will fire the thing 500 times before I review it.
And that's a smart way to do it. I think the best reviews.
I'm kind of waiting on the unicorn because I'm a little excited about that one.
Yeah, it is really fun. I think the best reviews are if you have. I'm not good at patience. I think the best review, like some of my favorites are if you can unbox it and look at it, then play with it for a while and come back to it and like make that kind of one review so you have like both the surprise and the experience. That can make a nice review. I didn't really do that with the unicorn. I did use it I did fire probably more mags through it than normal before reviewing. Like probably 15 or 20 through it, just like at targets and out in the yard and stuff. And I felt pretty, pretty confident. I mean, I would have liked to have, in an ideal world, I wish I lived somewhere where I could get some gameplay footage to go in reviews and like really get into like end to end. But
under pressure, yeah, using it under pressure. What do you notice?
Because that can make a pretty big difference. Like, and I feel like that's why I don't like the try-on as much as I feel like some people do. Is I used it in the tournament and I used it on the Sunday day of games in Maryland, and Matt and I both were using try-ons, and we both had more issues than we expected. And if I just reviewed it, I probably would have been a bit friendlier before. So it's. So I don't know, but the unicorn was it was pretty much a two-parter of like unboxed it, did all that stuff, and then I think I did come back an extra day, and I do a lot of just like I don't care if it's not polished, like I'll do inserts sometimes where it's just me holding a phone going, hey, actually this is a couple days later, and this part I said is not true, so I'll try to like tuck some of that stuff into the review as well, just to like be as
Hour of
completionist as I can. But yeah, no, I think you'll enjoy. I feel like you'll enjoy the unicorn. It's so solid. Like that things that are like that. When things are made of nylon, like that's such a great material.
I mentioned that in a few of mine, like the assembly on Valkyrie. That thing is a brick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one too much. I've got it here. It's actually I've got it apart, but because I'm actually modifying that one myself. But the assembly on Valkyrie is basically a chunk of nylon,
right?
And injection molded, and it is. You could if we were playing real HVZ, forget the darts, use it as a sledgehammer.
Right.
That's the kind of build quality he's got.
Oh yeah, you combine that with all the metal internals and stuff, and it's like, oh, this feels like a next level, like a level up in quality. It's neat. What a great time to be alive and trying to fling little foam darts at your friends. So many options. I'm gonna go over to the chat. K-Chan Meta, not enough confirmed. He has a unicorn. Yeah, unicorn is having a shipment delay. So he was saying like he couldn't get his sample this month, so he has one coming to American Foam all day mod streamathon with multiple guests. When? Maybe that's what he'll have to do. Maybe we'll do some sort of telethon. We'll find a cause. We'll do an end of the year telethon. Just seeing if there's any other chats. A few people heading out for the night, but thanks so much to everyone who stuck by in the chat. This stream is going to have just a ton of messages. I'm always curious to go and look after in the logs and see all the messages. You were an active bunch. Really appreciate it. Jake, really enjoyed chatting. I hope we chat again sometime. It's funny, doing the stream once a month is fun, and like that's as much as I can commit to, but I need to start doing some, and maybe it's just purely once in a while, like if there's like a mod thing going on, just getting into the habit of like having a little FaceTime chat with some people just to kind of catch up, because I know it's where I am. There's not that many people who are as crazy as me, so I have to rely on people like Not Enough to like to be chatting with to be my Nerf friend. So busy building out this circle of Nerf friends. So
it has been an absolute pleasure.
I can't believe I called you part of my circle of Nerf friends. That's very insane. My circle of foam flinging friends. Awesome. No, this was super fun. I really appreciate you making the time.
Yes.
And
it has been absolutely great. I was actually thrilled that you wanted to reach out to me. That was very nice.
No, absolutely. No, we'll have to do something again. I definitely want to figure out that, because that's part of this for me too. And I think being in more of a remote place, that's part of the appeal of the channel and doing streams, is just being able to, I mean, we may have gone, we may never actually get to meet in real life just because of the distance between us, and maybe events will never kind of line up in the right place. But, at least this way we get to actually have a chat, and it's not just, we're not just views to each other. Now we're real people.
Well, eventually, like a New York Toy Fair or an Indoor something.
For sure, yeah. No, I would. That would be. It would be good to try to meet up at something someday for sure. I feel like I've been telling everyone, even if it's a drive for you, that the Maryland Mayhem weekend, when they do that next year, that's an awful lot of bang for your buck for a travel weekend, as far as having like the tournament, having the HVZ.
I might have to mark that on the calendar.
I would highly recommend it, and a lot of the people running that and who are involved in that, like Al the Geek and Boomstick Mods and Dart Sweep, I have a real soft spot for those guys, because I met a lot of them the very first HVZ I went to, with like my channel, like and a few of them like kind of knew my channel. It had like, I don't know, maybe it was a few hundred subs or whatever, and they were all super friendly and super nice and invited me to play with their squad. And so now, like, any event that I've gone to, like, they've kind of been Taco Hell has kind of been the default group that I've ended up going and playing with. So they're just a very welcoming bunch, and they put on a really, really good event. And so definitely that might be a good chance for to get some of the people to meet up. We can pressure American Foam and Not Enough Nerf and some of the others to go to that one too. We'll have a big meetup. Awesome. All right, everyone. I'm going to this is a record-breaking stream, almost 2 hours. We beat the Not Enough stream. Not enough. I'm sure he's thinking he'll have to come back, and we'll make it a competition. But we just had too much fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna switch over, guys, to the as CR Nerf is saying. You would be welcome if you go to if you end up going to Maryland Mayhem and you want to be in the tournament. You're welcome to join Team Mega Double XL. It sounds like you play a lot more than I do, but that is the team where the older guys with bad knees are all welcome. Guys or gals, as long as you're older with bad knees, come on in and you can play on Double XL. American Foam, don't threaten me with a good time. We're doing it. We're all threatening you with a good time. Nerf Talk, you can come down from Toronto as well. Everybody, we'll all meet up. We'll all drive so far. All right, I'm gonna hit the good night button on the stream. Good night, everyone, from me, Maritime Foam, and from
everyone. Have a great time from me as well.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you guys soon, and we'll see you on the next one.